We are live. As I squint. Is this you?
Brad, are you mic'd up?
There.
Cool.
Say hi to everybody, Dan.
Welcome.
So, we're live, but not live. I can't see the question. They're going to go
That's what
super
I'm
fast.
fast. Trying to pull it up right now.
If
Yeah.
you go right into YouTube,
So I think we'll give it a couple minutes to let
we'll
people
give it a couple minutes.
let people join and me to
Tell
find
everyone,
a
say
spot
hi
that
to
doesn't
everybody.
mash my face with light. There we
How's
go.
our sound, everybody?
1 second. Ooh.
Brad's already running away from us. Hey, you're live on that mic, buddy.
Yeah, just so you know, you're
I'm live.
No matter where you go.
Hey, Dax. Hey, John.
Oh, we got a Daxie in the chat.
What's
up, Dax?
1 cent for that ad play.
Yes. By
Okay, so James is behind us here.
Hey.
That is a large chef wall. Over here, that is a large head.
I set it where I'm seeing all the comments. I'm in YouTube, I think. Wait,
Turn it
no,
that way,
maybe
yeah?
I'm not. Not.
Brad's a little under the weather. I'm drinking. Is that Surge?
That's LaCroix. It's club champion favorite.
Show 'em
Surge. Slightly less cool than Surge.
club champion with all the product, all the wall, and they have building work right in front of us.
Yeah, so Brad and I did a video on this a while back, but
Loft and line machine.
Club
Mitchell.
Champion only uses what?
What's that? Mitchell loft and line machine.
Yep.
Digital. As you can see, every time it turns, you got numbers that alter.
Just so you guys know, this is a working facility right now.
Live fittings going on.
Live fittings. It's got. Yeah, tell me how the sound is, guys. Let me know if everything's good, being picked up well. We have a sweet new mic system. You wouldn't even know it's here. It's actually just clipped to my.
Dax says it's good.
It's good?
Everybody says it's good.
Great. We also have Brad mic'd up. He might need to turn his around though.
Check one.
We'll help him out.
Am I good?
It's super easy to use.
It's good.
These are all fancy.
Probably during while I was walking.
While you're walking around, yeah.
Yeah.
Brad's good where it's at.
Okay. We shouldn't have too many feed issues. They have good Wi-Fi here.
Okay.
Hey, Christopher. Hey, MT. So, Dan, we can pretty much kick this off now.
Ready to roll?
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, everyone, welcome. We are kicking off 2020 Range Days. I got Brad here. We recently met.
Yeah.
I believe he's well known on the forum, on our digital channels.
He's also a THP Hall of Famer.
He's also
Am I
a Hall of Famer.
I'm a Hall of Famer?
On THP and in our hearts, probably. So,
Yeah.
Brad, thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, no
today.
pleasure.
Really
It's
appreciate it. I think we wanted to give THPers an opportunity to ask questions because we're here at Club Champion,
Right.
not just Club Champion, the headquarters of Club Champion, where some outstanding fittings go on every single day, it seems like.
Yep.
Sundays as well?
Not in this store.
Not in this store?
Because I play
Yeah.
golf on Sundays, so
Right.
that's kind of
unlucky.
that's the main reason.
I think so is
Dan,
everyone
they're
else.
talking
though.
about your pullover. Can you tell them
Yeah.
what that is?
Oh, we got a Cloud Spun Puma with the THP logo. It's a gift from THP to our staffers and writers. It was awesome. I did anyway because you're a nice guy. Don't tell Josh I told him that. Anyways, we have Brad, and tell me, don't tell me because I kind of have a good idea. I'm a pretty big fan of Club Champion as a whole, but for those listeners who aren't really familiar with your operations at Club Champion headquarters, as well as your many stores around the
That's
country,
Cassie in the background.
Right?
what can people expect when they come to a Club Champion?
Oh, that's
a
a
big
very
one, isn't it?
very vague question. Well,
We
they
got
can
like an hour and a half.
Well,
so.
it depends. I mean, if they're looking for a full bag fitting or a putter fitting or what have you. But I guess ultimately, what they're going to expect is this: they're going to work one-on-one with the fitter, and they're going to help you accomplish any goals that you have. When somebody walks through that door, they want to figure out something, right? They want to improve upon something. Sometimes maybe it's just a, understanding of what they have. Is that what's right for them, right? In the simplest form, what we do is we make people play better golf through equipment. And if that means, purchasing a golf club, brand new, built by Club Champion, great. If that means, making an adjustment to a piece of equipment they already have, like, maybe it's a simple loft and lie on their putter, or a new shaft for their driver, or a new grip, whatever it is, that's what makes you play your best golf. That's what you're going to get from our fitters. We have the best trained fitters in the world. Every fitter that we have throughout our company at now 74 stores goes through a month-long training program. So it's not just, here's a Club Champion shirt, go fit. We train them to how to do it our way and to give the best experience that is known for custom club fitting in the market today.
And you have stores all throughout the U.S.
Yep.
I would assume, I'm out of Cincinnati, Ohio. I know we recently acquired a store there. I know Columbus has them.
Yep.
Indianapolis has them, as I've mentioned.
Yep.
I actually made the drive last year to really dive into what Club Champion was all about.
Sure.
And for me, it was an eye-opening experience from how custom fitting should be done.
Right.
Which I loved. I actually took some friends up, and I feel so confidently about it. I talk about it on THP all the time. I refer members of my golf course to it, because when you have a product you can trust, that I think that speaks volumes. And based on, I'm not trying to get a job, but based on that feedback, I think that's where the power comes in with mediums like THP. The one thing I want to say to you guys right off the bat, if you guys are watching and you're enjoying the content, the idea of ranges, make sure you do like the video. Subscribe to THP Golf. We'll have a ton of video coming up. And as well as give us a comment below letting us know what your fitting experiences are, or if you had a full range of the wall over here as Josh pans to it, what is the first club you're going to grab if you have access with the lights still on and no one here?
Yeah.
So, Zexios from Josh. I don't know if you guys can hear him. Zexio X irons. What was the first thing I did to warm up when I got here is I grabbed the iron that I'm enamored by right now, which is the Cobra King Forge Tech.
Yep.
I don't know why I couldn't think of it. I haven't stopped talking about it for the last 6 months.
Sure.
Do you when you have people in here, usually someone has a bias towards something. Where does that fall into your fitting process?
I don't know if I'd say bias, but maybe brand preference would be a better way of saying it.
Well, we're on the internet. It's a bias.
It's a bias, sure, but I would say that anytime anybody has that wants to test out a certain product, they're going to at Club Champion. If you want to try a certain brand, a certain shaft, maybe something that you can't try anywhere else, you're going to do it at the Club Champion, right?
And you've got a handful of products here that you might not normally see in your typical big box retailer. That not just from an iron or driver perspective, but also from a shaft perspective.
Right.
Which is kind of wild.
Right. I mean, every store is going to have, the same matrix. You're not going to see anything at our Chicago store that you wouldn't see in, let's say, Cincinnati, if you will. You're gonna experience all the brands, shafts, heads, you name it, at any one of our locations.
Okay.
Based on that, we have a question.
All right.
Okay.
So, Brad, do you all use the data from the fittings network-wide to create recommendations for your fitters in future situations?
I would say this. We all use TrackMan, a piece of technology we have, obviously the industry standard. TrackMan, a great unit, allows us to be data-driven. Our fitters are, through their product knowledge and through their experience, are going to come up with a recommendation. TrackMan doesn't necessarily say, you must be playing the Cobra King Forge. Like, yeah, exactly. But any of our fitters are going to know what the tendencies of certain products are, and you're going to see a very similar recommendation for that. When you deal with a piece like technology like Sam Putt Lab, that maybe narrows it down a little bit more. It's not going to tell you the exact brand, if you will, but yes, it'll talk about toe hang and so forth, yeah.
Very nice.
Yep. I'm sorry? No. What do you got there? 6 iron?
Yeah. So, well, there's one right over there. So, one thing you might not have noticed, guys, while they were talking about that question, I actually just put together an iron head. It's a universal adapter system that you guys use that allows you to take any shaft off the wall and put it in any head, which is really
I don't need 13 of those same shafts on the wall.
Yeah. Unlike us golfers who need 13 sets at home.
We would need a much bigger space if I needed 13 of those shafts, one for every iron brand that we had on the wall.
So once again,
long, short.
oh yeah, that's true. We actually talked about my preference was right off the bat coming in was Tour V, and you actually have that in not only all flexes, but you also have it in 3 different sizes,
Right.
which for someone like me is great. For someone who may be a little bit shorter, a little bit taller, comfortable with that half long, half short.
we just don't have like everything an inch long and just choke down over. It feels good.
Yeah.
We pretty much got into half degree increments from half an inch short to anywhere from an inch and a half long.
Yeah.
So we got that all covered. Yep.
What did you put together there, Dan?
Oh, I was just messing around. I grabbed UHX, and I know that Range Days is about hitting product and talking about what to expect as a consumer goes out and hits it for themselves. And I think that's going to be a large part of what Range Days will be about here in 2020. What is fun for me, as
stepping on
Josh
that.
destroyed his iPad, is that I'm here with accessibility to the wall, and I can't help it. We got here, an hour and a half ago, and I've casually just been hanging out in the bay hitting balls. So I don't think I should make it any different. I think as the live stream goes, I'm just going to sit here and pump balls.
Yeah.
And hopefully some more questions come in for Brad.
Yep.
He's a great resource to ask. It looks like James
As a
might
matter
have
of
another
fact,
one.
Mike
Sure.
Mike G's got a question for you. So
Okay.
for players who may have a more unique swing, how do you go about fitting them when numbers aren't as consistent as you'd like?
I think that's a great question. First off, I'd say, I think that's probably a pretty common misconception about golfers is that they're maybe not that consistent. The one thing I would say is this, is your swing almost does this same every day that ends in Y, right?
Yep.
So if you got, if Dan tends to come over it a little bit, he's doing it, sorry Dan, Monday through Sunday. His ability to square the face may change from day to day a little bit and in some of his tendencies, right? We all wake up aches and pains and feel a little different, but players are more consistent than they believe and that they really understand. And with a piece of technology like TrackMan that measures a lot of that, we can understand why the ball's curving and so forth.
Okay.
And then, ultimately in the end, help make them play better golf through equipment.
And on building off of that, so golfing with Dad. So what do you think the most important variable in a fitting is?
I don't think you can pinpoint exactly one.
No one greater than any other.
No, I definitely wouldn't say so. But when we take a player through a fitting, and if Dan's warming up here, and this is his gamer, if you will, 6-iron,
Oh, we had a,
and we
quite a chicken wing there comment.
and we start. Yeah, I think it was floating quotes, but I would say that
Gets you to a +2 and 4.
the biggest thing would be to just understand what his
Yes.
current clubs are doing, and we're data driven, so we're going to be looking at certain factors.
Hostler.
And then from there, our process really starts with the golf shaft. We're gonna take his same head or a similar head, and we're gonna run him through a shaft test and really focusing on different weights, different profiles of the golf shaft. That's really allowing him to make the best contact, give him the best ball speed and smash factor in that. So that's kind of where it starts. Now, we understand that head performance is a big part of it. It's not just one versus the next. Everything obviously has to work together, so.
So another question that's off the wall from that'll throw you a little curveball.
Sure.
We've had actually the last few days, we've had a lot of questions on one length.
Yep.
Do you guys fit a lot of one length?
We do.
And when
we
you,
do.
when you fit one length, they want to know how is that any different than fitting for standard irons, or is it?
I wouldn't say it's any different because when you come to Club Champion, we use the 6-iron as a benchmark. So we're going to fit one length off that.
Okay.
And then, utilizing some of the different brands we have, Cobra being one of them, Adele being another, they have the ability to test out, 4-irons and wedges that are going to be those same lengths, right?
Okay.
I think a lot of it has to do with testing.
Yeah.
It's not something you just dive right
No, you
in,
can't
right?
jump right into it.
You can't jump right into it. And I think we all know that when it gets down to those shorter irons, what that's going to feel like, right? Playing a 37.5-inch sand wedge, that's the one.
That's always the biggest question that we get.
But, I remember several years ago, even before I would say it's the known topic as it is, players were always, maybe my 4, 5, and 6-iron were the same length.
Yeah.
So that was always talked about.
Okay.
So, I think it's experimenting, trying it a little bit, understanding exactly, how to build for it as well. That's the other thing. I mean, is just, I know a lot of people are watching out there, and if they want to try it, we're just going to extend my short irons and cut down my 4-iron. That's not going to.
That's not how that works.
That's not exactly how it works.
So as Dan has now moved to the speed zone.
Yep.
Speed zone with your Recoil Proto.
Yeah, still hanging out with Recoil Proto 110, having some fun with that. Hitting some there's shaft options I don't normally get access to, which is great.
Brad, call out numbers after he hits a couple of this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Dan was stretching out a little bit, and we were talking a little bit about his current chassis, what he's played in the past, and some of the things he's kind of eyeing. He roasted that one. That was pretty solid there. We got 137 mile an hour ball speed. Smashes at 144 on this 6-iron. So he's definitely moving it.
So that's a great chicken wing, Dan.
Yeah. Call it whatever you want, right, Dan?
I
Call
can
it whatever
chicken
you
wing
want.
with a left-handed club for sure. That's easy.
No, but I think one thing Dan said earlier, you know, you guys are a little bit of the opposite, right?
Mm-hmm.
He definitely tends to hit a little bit higher. You're more.
I'm a low baller.
Yeah, you maybe wish to hit it a little higher, and he wishes to hit it a little bit lower. Fantastic there. I mean, his ball speeds have been really consistent. You know, high 130s, smash factor well over 1.4.
120 peak.
Yeah, 120 peak, good angle of descent. You know, he's almost carrying it almost 200 yards. You know, and that was kind of pretty constant earlier.
6-iron.
With a 6-iron.
Your internet long.
Yeah. Internet approved.
Internet approved.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, it
Get
used
the
to be
man a
outing
sticker.
approved on THP. Now it's internet approved, I guess.
So while he's hitting those, I've actually got another question for you.
Okay.
For Mike G as well. How do you explain to golfers that spin's your friend and that it's needed to a certain extent to achieve numbers to optimize ball flight? We all hear in marketing low spin, low spin, low spin.
Sure.
But isn't low spin a detriment as well sometimes?
If Mike G is probably referring to the driver, which sounds like a little bit where he's kind of coming from, there is such thing probably as too low of a spin driver, right? And a little bit spin's going to help you find fairways. There's a pretty famous college coach in Illinois here that always says, you know, hey, I can launch it, you know, this and spin it this, and that's going to give me great distance. But I can find fairways with about that 2,500 RPMs of spin, you know, and that's kind of where he likes to live.
spot,
And I think when you look at technology and you look at all the great numbers that all these devices give us, right? Spin is one of those that people hone in on.
Yeah.
And the other two that are really important in the fittings for us is, you know, we talked about earlier, how high the ball is and what's the landing angle, right?
the landing angle?
You know, so if Mike G's talking about, let's say, drivers, and the spin is 1,700, right, for a lack of a better term, and you're seeing that ball land at 31 degrees,
Yeah.
right? Palm Springs, it's going forever. We live in the Midwest.
It's a different country.
little
what the internet
different,
thinks, it's a
yeah,
different game.
little different, right? But you know, the other thing I think a lot of people play is what is it right for them, right? And based on your speed and your attack angle, it's going to be vary from player to player. It's not just comparing you to Tiger or you know you to you know I call it a 10-5 regular flex player, right? You know, is what do you do in using the technology and understanding what's optimal for that player? Take a look at that.
So while we're fixing what Dan's tearing up,
I'm gonna grab a new shaft.
as someone who just switched his whole bag, this is Pete Hoffer, as somebody who just switched his whole bag to Jumbo Max grips,
Okay.
how do you go about testing different grip sizes for a player? Can you go about testing that?
For sure. Well, in any fitting, I mean, we're going to talk about grip size. We're going to talk, obviously, most importantly, what fits your hands.
Yep.
But then, obviously, you know, there's grips out there. The +4 grip right now. The guy it seems to be a hot topic this week. The guy who's smothers it, right hand dominant guy. You know, for the you know
Josh
those
just said
+4 grips
stop talking
definitely.
about
You know,
me.
there's pros and cons to anything, right? The other thing I think most golfers aren't necessarily aware of is how size of grip can change weight. Even the color of the grip can change weight. You know, a black, white, and red tour wrap are all way different.
They all have different-
They all have
different
different
base
weights,
weights.
right? And so, you know, if you're taking a standard grip and throwing on the Jumbo Max, what did that do to your golf
is that
club?
gonna change
How did
swing
that
weight?
change swing weight?
There you go.
And you know, us golfers, we're very sensitive to weight. You know, static and swing weight, and so that's gonna play a big part into, you know, that's gonna play in a big part of how that player is gonna react to that golf club.
So the Turvy.
Yes.
J-Dax is asking, is the ball the player plays a factor in fitting here at Club Jam?
Yes, I mean it's actually the
Read the four.
it's probably the
think
first
a veteran
question we ask. And when somebody comes in, we're going to ask them what ball they're playing, and we're going to use that ball or a very similar golf ball to that. And then our fitters are going to make a golf ball recommendation. I call it a little bit of a homework assignment too
There
as
you
well. So, you know, once you leave here, you know, we know that you can fit for a golf ball a lot of different ways, but you know how it feels off the putter, around the greens, chipping and pitching.
Okay, we have requests to see Dan swing and not see my face.
Well, the sad part is I'm mic'd and Brad's mic'd, but I don't know how much you guys can actually hear JV talking, and the commentary coming out of him right now
Probably none, which
is beautiful.
These guys are gonna kill me holding this thing forever.
the most important thing you need to know is he wants everyone to be aware that there's some really good content with Club Champion on THP TV, and you should definitely go check that out.
Here, you want to know what Dan swings like? It's a robot with a chicken wing.
I mean,
Okay?
it's kind of autopilot.
So 97, we got King Forge Tech in the bag on the monitor right now. We have 97.2 club head speed, just about 136 ball speed, smash just under 1.4, launch at 16, spin rates at 5,300, 5,300, heights 120 feet. Landing angle is 50, and I
Yep.
think with a typical 6-iron, you want to be in that, 45 to 50 range? To
45
make
to 50 might be, yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I would say more than 50, then, we want to look at the peak height, how are you in the wind, things,
Yeah.
conditions like that.
Hey, Dan, before you hit another ball, can you explain how this is going to work with range days? What all this matters?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think right now our goal over the next 2 days is to compile as much data as we can. And we're fortunate being up here at Club Champion to have access to a ton of product. Want to knock that, Brad? So long story short, what I'd like to do is hit as much product as we can and then start to make comparisons from a company standpoint. So I've already hit Speed Zone. I'm hitting Forge Tech now. We have the ability to do that with many of the different manufacturers. So I think range days this year, while last year had a pretty heavy focus, I think this year we're going to look at irons and how each of those irons is going to impact you if you don't have access to them locally. So if you have if you have a certain type of swing where you need something, we're going to tell you where that something can come from pretty much every.
I mean, with 70 stores, most of the viewers are going to be able to find us locally.
And see, that's why I'm not getting paid like this, because I didn't say that.
And
What's that? Oh, that's right. Thanks, Josh, for reminding me once again, not on mic. One of the changes for this year, and I'm very excited about it. Last year, we had a great video series. What I would really like to accomplish this year with some additional content is utilizing range days as a podcast. So how that's going to look and the construction of that is still yet to come, but please keep an eye out for that because it will be coming at some point in the next probably couple weeks. We're going to kick that off. And
it'll be the same. Like the video and the podcast.
right, and so we're going to have a podcast as well as video that's going to go right up to YouTube. It'll be the same basic conversation, but you'll have the ability to digest that whatever way you'd like to. So while you got it on me, and everyone for whatever reason decided to stop talking as soon as it started pouring on me, I think it'd be a lot of fun if you guys want to see me hit something right now and get an idea of what kind of numbers it will be. Let me know. We'll probably have it on the wall over here. Or do you want Brad to mess with it a little bit and put what he might think is the best shaft for me in there?
Or people want to see you hit T-rail.
I'll do it. I'll hit T-rail.
Get some T-rail.
And Hogan PTX
Okay, Hogan PTX. All right.
Pro. And Mizuno ST200.
That's the beauty of range days.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
So here's a big part of range days. As you guys watch me swing, I wasn't particularly satisfied with the contact of the ground on that one.
Ooh, T-rail.
Ball speed went down by about 7. And the story here is range days is all about not your best. Range days isn't about your best swing. Range days is about your swing. So what we'll do, just like last year, we're going to take 5 shots. Whatever comes of those 5 shots is what becomes a range days for that product. So here's hoping tomorrow I still have a relatively decent swing in me. Throw something in.
So while we're changing clubs, we had a follow-up question. So G-Man asked, and it was kind of about the inconsistency, which we talked about a little bit. At what point do you all start considering the most forgiving or more forgiving irons in a player's fitting?
Well, I would say that, we're always going to let the player hit what they want to test, right? So we heard all these different brands come in right now. But I think at some point, every fitter knows what's going to work best for that particular player. An example the other day I remembered was Guy walked in with X20s, right? A little older product, misses nothing but left, right? Tons of offset in that product. So to test the same exact newest Callaway iron, he's probably going to see very similar left results, right? So we went immediately to Maverick Pro, and it was
T-Rail,
like
guys.
aha moment, like
Less offset.
bye left, less
different look.
offset, different look. And you know, we started to look at those things, and that was instantly a better ball flight to his eye.
T-rail.
You guys are more than welcome to keep talking while I'm hitting.
Yeah, no,
almost
and
tripped me up there.
that's a great iron, but
We were all curious to see what was about to happen.
But you know, it really starts. You know, I see a lot of fitters today, and I watch a lot of what you know your viewers watch as well, and other manufacturers fit. And you know, our process at Club Champion, we're gonna start with your iron head or something very similar, and we're gonna find the shaft that fits you. And I think one of the things that you hear a lot of players talk about is, you know, this shaft fits this head, but it's not going to work so well in that other head. The shaft fits you as a player, right? And we're looking for, you know, the best contact and the best zing.
The hook machine or anything, and you created 2 in a row. They can't hear me say that.
So I'll hit another one, and then I'll share some thoughts on them while they finish their thoughts.
And then he hits an arrow.
And then you just,
This is the anti-fade.
I'm staring at.
So I'll do one more. So what's interesting here, and what I love about Josh is really getting after me now. What I love about opportunities of getting fit like this, we have 2 new products for this year that I've just cycled through. Actually, both from the same company, and I'm seeing, well, not in that case because that was kind of great, but the first couple I really put some spin on that. And launch, and the conditions that we play with, having fittings and coming in here and experiencing it for yourself and knowing what works really helps to isolate to the kind of club you want to hit, which is awesome.
So golf unfiltered is trolling him with the ball. Golf unfiltered says
So
for
it's
some
a-
reason they need to roll back the ball.
well, he's actually a little slower with this head. You know, he's been
Club speed.
yeah, ball speed, considerable
speed,
amount
yeah.
slower with the T-rail than he was with, you know, Speed Zone or Forge Tech.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I can feel a little bit more head weight there.
Yep.
Just from swing weight perspective, I would say. And I've been a guy for the last couple years. I've pretty much played straight in. I don't worry too much about swing weighting. And with a 110 gram shaft, a lot of the times those heads can get pretty light from
Sure.
a swing weight perspective. So that's kind of my wheelhouse there, is just fasten through the zone as quick as I can.
So do you know your swing weight? Do you know what your current clubs are?
No, it's probably light, D1, C9.
Yeah, so, you know, that's the other thing is understanding, you know, when anybody comes into Club Champion, we want you to bring your entire bag. We want to make sure, you know, take a look
Yeah.
at what your 6 iron is,
Yeah.
see what you do with it, how does it measure up, and then in the end, when you hit something at Club Champion that you just can't put down and that's performing the best in the bay, we're going to measure that, right? We're going to measure the length, the loft, the lie, the swing weight. I kid all the time, you know, is that 2 degree up head in a store really 2 degrees up, right?
Depends on the brand.
Depends on the brand. Depends what standard is. And was it measured?
So there it is right there. That was up
Iron was 4 degrees.
about a mile and a half faster.
Yep,
Is that what it was?
yep.
To say that, describe what you just did, man.
We just switched out.
T-rail went.
We just pulled T-rail out and put King Forge Tech back in. I know you guys have requested a couple other heads. If we can try and pull some of those, but I thought, based on what we had just finished talking about and the surprise of the speed of T-rail, I thought it'd be fun to come back and hit this a couple more times, just to represent that a bit. So that looks like a dud of a spin. Unless I magically
No,
gain
you're right. You're right.
5,000 RPMs a spin. But I mean, that happens. Do you want to throw, what was that? Someone had requested a Ben Hogan.
We had a Hogan.
I got a Hogan, yep.
Yeah, we got a Hogan. We're getting some hybrid requests in now.
Some Hyron?
Hybrid.
Oh, hybrid.
They really want to see you hit the super hybrid.
Oh, yeah. There's, so Brad, I was out at a THP event last year at Hammock Beach and was not was not lucky enough to have a driver in the bag for the weekend, so I ended up using the super hybrid and just pounding it.
Yeah, it's a
that
great
thing is
club.
awesome for me this year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of chasing around the site, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, there's a lot of different things in hybrids, Yeah. The hybrids, I mean, Maverick right now and Callaway, they got, literally 4 different versions of a hybrid. Hybrids made a hot topic this week with Rory having it in the bag. Great sound there.
So there's actually 2 thoughts I have straight away with PTX. When you see a little bit of a different launch angle and a little bit of a different spin rate, we do have the same shaft in here, and this is where it gets fun with the fitting. You mentioned people getting fit for not just their clubs, but also their lies and their lofts.
Sure.
How much head-to-head? Because obviously PTX Pro, which is what I have in here right now, and the King Forge Tech, I would assume have a slightly different loft.
Totally different loft structure, yep.
And different characteristics going into it.
Yep. When we have the ability to, in any club champion, to adjust the loft to lie during our fit right now.
And we showed you guys that earlier.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're seeing, if we're seeing, let's say, higher launch, more spin like this, and obviously we know that's something you don't desire, Dan, we're going to be looking at loft structure and how to adjust that. You look at Tiger's got one of the weakest lofts in the game, right, at a 32-degree 6-iron. And there's 6-irons out there and right off the rack that measures somewhere along the lines of 24. And it's 8 degrees difference between what Tiger's using and maybe what's a standard, if you will, on the rack. Well, we all swing just like him, yeah.
That was the other education piece that maybe you could help the viewers consider.
This is going down a crazy path, I can already tell.
Well, yeah. We have the time. You give me time, Josh. We're going down paths. So, dynamic loft into entry. Tiger is obviously going to be different than you or me, or James, as we talked about. So, it's not so much of a distance conversation versus a way you approach the ball. Am I fair in saying that?
Yes, but also we know that the loft of that iron is extremely different than what you just had, right?
Yes.
And you're a player that walks in saying, I hit it too high at times. I wouldn't mind seeking the lower ball flight. Well, look at your landing angle now. It's at 53. You're 3 degrees steeper and at least 7 to 10 feet higher ball flight right now. So let's say, what if I take that down for us, Dan? Let's measure the loft and let's take it down a little bit even.
We're getting serious here. So numbers, you guys can't see it, 97.1 club speed. I'm really driving through with this ball well, and I can tell that I am. 133 mile an hour ball speed, 1.37 smash factor, 18 degrees of launch, 6,400 spin. Again, this is a 6-iron. You want to be back here, James?
When you talk.
Okay. And then we have a height of 128. I typically am comfortable at like 120 range. Landing angle of 53.3. I'd like to get that down closer to 50. And what you guys can't see right now is Brad's actually over there bending the club, which is the second time that's happened to me at a club champion, which is pretty fun. Carries 186, which is perfectly fine for a 6-iron that I would used to consider very suitable. And attack angle minus 2.7, so obviously helping that spin a little bit.
So Clayton just asked about the Epic Forged iron. You actually hit it early on.
Yeah.
Back up and tell people what you think.
About Epic Forged?
Yeah.
How about we just hit it?
Is it in your hand right now?
It will be.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to put the Hogan back in his hand with a little bit different loft on it than he was just hitting. Yeah, a little bit stronger. It's pretty weak.
Did you just bend it?
And of course, I missed the first one I hit.
Chicken wing.
Yeah. I'm going to get a complex if they keep saying that in chat. Again, you guys can hear it. Josh will not stop saying chicken wing, guys. Thanks so much for that, by the way. He's mad that I ate chicken tenders for lunch at Portillo's, and he won't shake it off.
How do you get chicken tenders at Portillo's? I mean, I don't, all right.
See, that's not fair, because you are mic'd up. They can hear that. I could have tolerated that.
I'm gonna call you out on that.
Wow.
So when we train here, our fitters at HQ, I always recommend Portillo's. And I don't know, Josh, what's the first thing you're gonna tell them to get?
A beef dipped cheese fries and a chocolate cake shake.
Or cheesy beef or something, along those lines, right? You know, even a burger you can't go wrong with, right? Not chicken tenders.
I'm pretty sure they had to go back and hunt them down.
So Golf Unfiltered is saying clucks and fries.
Clucks and fries. Yeah, we had a chat about you on the way in, Adam. That's very, very nice of you to come and comment. But I did not follow in the same trend. They didn't get cold whilst I spent time in the back, sorting my life out.
Hey, Dan, Maynard actually wants you to find the middle here.
Ouch. The middle of what? The fairway? That probably isn't the middle, but no.
So as a fitter, you would probably say at this point, let's find a different iron head?
I'm going to kind of get a vibe on what, does he have a good feel for this iron? I'm definitely noticing lower launch, lower apex, better angle of descent for him. He's not quite finding the center.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's kind of dancing all over it a little bit. When, just messing around earlier, there was a couple irons I put in your hands that were just like, fit you like a glove. It was perfect. It was like you had no problem.
Yeah,
And that right there, those are the numbers we kind of been seeing throughout the day. I mean, that was just roasted right there. That was excellent.
So we're looking at 90, a little bit slower for some reason, 90 mile an hour, but 134 ball speed. We have
really good height, land angle.
1.51 smash, but clearly I couldn't hit it much better. And landing angle's right in that 50, heights in that 115 range that I wanted, and then 193 carry. Yeah, another thing about range is we actually have dual launch monitors. I believe Club Champion is all fitted with TrackMan.
Correct.
And THP operates with a Foresight GC Quad. So Clayton, here's your epic forge, buddy. Hope I don't let you down.
So while Dan's about to do this, Brad, we had the question and kind of talking about the PTXs and making some adjustments. How many swings do you usually need to see before recommending a setup? Obviously, the more balls are hit, the more tired the golfer gets. So what's kind of you all stance and roll on that? Yeah, so whether we're testing a specific shaft or maybe a different iron head, I'd say in the realm that 4 to 6 shots is usually really kind of what I need from a fitting standpoint. There's also times where I've seen 3 and that player just makes a comment or doesn't jive with it almost right away. And so we're gonna save the swings and we're gonna certainly go for a little bit more of a quality.
Yeah.
He dropped it.
Spinning 6,100. How weird. The internet says that's not possible with that club.
Did that just fly off?
Yep.
Swinging too hard here, guys.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Can you explain the numbers you're seeing here?
Yeah. So
let me give one more rip.
Dan, what are you experiencing like with that iron, just feel wise, looks wise?
Yeah, so it has a slightly larger profile in the back. You can actually see a little bit coming out here on this portion, but from a top line perspective, it's actually quite neutral. Not in that player minuscule size, but I think that kind of conversation is getting away from us because most of us are in a head that would be of this realm here. So last 2 I hit, I didn't love the way I made contact. I know minus 3.7 attack. Maybe I'm getting a little tired here just ripping balls the whole time, but I'm still getting over 190 carry. Swings at 97, which means I'm getting through the ball pretty easily.
Yeah, you're moving it. You're moving it.
And a spin rate over 6,000 with that club. Everybody says the loft is too low to get that.
Right. Well, and I think, Dan, we both know that you tend to be a little high ball hitter and maybe a little bit, on the higher end of spin, but it's the wing.
So as right at the top of my swing, I get a chicken wing comment, and let the record show, despite me hitting maybe on the bottom groove, we still ended up at 182 yards of carry, which is pretty good considering I think I dinged the bottom of this club when I hit it.
And the other thing, all these balls that he's hitting, we're using Chrome Soft X right now. Yeah. So, it's not like the balls are different from 1 to 1.
That's going right, unfortunately.
So another question from Maynard, where do you see golfers that come in with an idea of where they feel they want or should be to fit to where they actually end up being fit through a given session?
So I think what the person's referring to is maybe what's the take of the viewer? What does the player think of themselves versus what the
they,
fitter?
when they come in and what their, I don't want to say preconceptions are, but what they think they're going to be fit into, and sometimes that doesn't work out.
Sure.
How often does it work out? How often does it not?
Well, I mean, I think certainly the player can dictate that. One, being open and honest with your fitter. I always say this, is that, if you're open and honest with your fitter, it's going to help, you're not going to waste your time, you're not going to waste his time. And you're going to come to a conclusion pretty quickly. I hear this a lot. Oh, I can get past the looks of something. Could you really? Dan, we talked to him earlier about the importance of sound, right? Sound is very important to you. So, could you ever get past the sound of something?
So I think that's partly the beauty of this conversation we're having. Sound is so subjective.
Sure.
But in my opinion, we just talked about the wall of irons you have behind you and how many companies are doing it right. And in my perspective, do you need to? It's not so much can you, it's do you need to? Because we have so many companies making unique sounds that golfers can go out and try and say, this is what I want to hear when I hit the ball pure or right on the center.
Right.
Nutted.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think I was in Scottsdale 2 weeks ago, and I was watching a fellow buddy play, and he's got a driver out on tour that sounds very muted, right? And then he's playing with JB. And JB's using a driver, and this thing is noticeably a different pitch. Ring the bell. This thing's loud.
Okay.
And, I can tell you this. Certain players would prefer that. Certain players couldn't stand that. And that's a big part of
Off
it.
the planet. I gotta stop aiming right. So, I'm glad you mentioned sound, and it does kind of fall into that range days opportunity, because at range days we're not going out there and trying to find what's the best out there. Josh keeps telling me to back up. I'm just waiting for the chicken wing comment. So we're not really looking at what's the best. We're looking at what's different, what's unique about a certain product. What is different? What is the tech story behind all irons in an iron lineup from a company? And that's a big part of what range days will be moving forward. We're going to get that data while I hit, which obviously will benefit because we do get to see some variances. But at the final goal, I believe, unless you guys obviously are welcome to comment again in this section below, and we'll continue this conversation into the THP forum. You're welcome to comment and tell us where you want to drive this conversation of range days. But as far as I'm concerned, what's important to me is to be able to tell you guys exactly what to expect with these different irons. So,
Kind of building off that with he was hitting the Hogans earlier, and we saw 89 club speed, and right now we're seeing 96.5. So one of the questions we had, and we get a lot, how is it that a club produces 7 miles an hour more club speed? What things can go into that?
And I think definitely the Hogan was, I think that was the one-handed thin one that produced 89, because I was kind of paying attention.
that was a beauty.
But weight is one of those things that is going to, definitely influence how a player is going to swing that golf club, right? We always talk, there's many things that a player can fight a golf club for. One of them is weight, swing weight. The other could be obviously grip size. The other could be, the way the shaft is oriented in the head of a golf club, right? So there's quite a few things that can, affect that. But I don't think his speed has been, from 96 to 89 on, particularly. He's been floating in that 94 to 97 pretty much all day. That was kind of the one non-known.
I think James just really wanted to emphasize my 89 mile an hour swing.
Yep.
That's what happened there.
Still higher
He
than
thought he swung it faster than
mine.
you.
Still higher than mine.
These are fun irons.
So we have Zexio forged irons.
So this is the Zexio X, and Dean wrote an article on this. You can read that on the homepage. But can you describe?
Can't hear any of this.
I know they can't hear. You,
Okay.
can't hear me. Can you describe that this is different than just about every other Zexio iron that's been released?
Yeah, so these are the Zexio X forged irons,
Just X.
but they say forged right there.
That's because they are forged.
So Zexio X irons, as soon as I grabbed them off the shelf, actually I don't even know if I had time, I think James got them before I did. They look and profile different from what your typical Zexio iron would be. And I know we have great content DDEC has written a review on this you can read through the THP homepage. There's conversation on the forum as well, but that's our next step right now, just to see what's going on. And
Yeah.
I think you've been pushing an iron, trying to get it and play it, so we'll get to that one next. Unless you guys, once again, if you want to see products hit, I got probably another who cares how many swings in me, so just let me know.
So Dan, with this iron, I mean,
Fat.
there are players out there I know that have never heard of the Zexial line, don't even spell it correctly, you know, like or say it. What's different about this than maybe a player that would expect from a normal, you know, Zexial product?
So I just hit that one and said that was fat. James laughed at me. Josh laughed at me.
Yep.
No, 192 carry.
Yep.
4,200 spin. Probably a little bit longer on this guy here. Yeah, 199 on the GC quad. Extra spin that time.
So one of the questions, kind of a follow-up to people that are coming in with existing gamer irons. If they come in with their existing iron and they hit it, do you just strictly do 6-iron to 6-iron? Do you take lofts into consideration in comparison? Or is it more, we're just going to work off of the 6-iron and see how things go?
So we utilize the 6-iron, and that's a question we get all the time. Why 6-iron? It's got enough loft, obviously, that everyone carries a 6-iron in their bag, but it has enough loft to show curvature as well. So,
Yeah, there it goes.
Hey Josh, how much are these mics that I keep launching around the club champion?
Can you be a little more careful?
I think JB wants me to slow down a bit, guys.
Well, while you're slowing down, we've had a question that's come through a couple times that I've missed. How do you do a legitimate wedge fitting indoors with no exposure to sand or different grass lengths, fairway, rough, etc.?
oh, great question. So number one, when you come to Club Champion, when we fit you for wedges, we're looking at what you do with that club, right? There's not just one exact swing or use for a wedge. We fit for wedges, number one, and we're looking at what your tendencies are, steep, shallow, how to utilize wedge, and so forth. We have ways, obviously you can see Dan's hitting off the harder side of the turf here, where the quad is over on the softer side. Yep. We have different conditions we can test in here. We're gonna use fresh golf balls, and your grooves are gonna be fresh. So we are starting to eliminate a lot of the variables that happen with fitting outdoors, fitting, you know, in different, you know, kind of arenas as far as, you know, all those different variables of turf conditions and so forth.
Oh, it's stinging.
You're stinging, you're
I
hurting?
hope you guys brought some of the stamina pros of this.
No, I'm not going to have you hit this one.
Oh,
you know,
what's
one of the things, here's what, Dan, the one thing I did notice, you know, just as you were kind of hitting some shots here, is it was pretty hard for you to literally make really good contact with this, right?
Yeah, until that last one, as you can see, just under 95, but I got 195 carry because of probably the 5,000 RPMs of spin and only 111.
Did it feel different, like weight-wise or anything like that?
Man, I don't know.
You don't know?
We're starting to get jumbled here.
Yeah. Well,
Hang on, guys,
Okay.
1 second. It says we lost the feed for a second, like we had a Wi-Fi glitch.
because what I wanted to do is I wanted to,
Put it up against that.
no,